Stop the presses. Chris Mack has found a Krakoan book that he enjoyed. I know hell has frozen over, my friends. This is X-Men: The Trial of Magneto, issue 2. I was poking through Ollie's, and I don't know about the Ollie's in the Alls area, but they have a bunch of those blind bag comics where, you can only see the front and the back ones. And I saw some books that I wanted, so I grabbed like 7 of them. They were only like $6 a piece or something like that for a stack about that thick. I was like, oh, hell, why not? And this happened to be one of them. And I went, oh, shit, it's a Krakoan book. And yeah, I'll admit, I looked at this book and I paced around it, looked at it, didn't want to read it, and I finally did, and I enjoyed it. There, the end. Just kidding. I don't plan on reading the rest of it, though. So I went back and kind of read the brief wiki on what this is about. So apparently the Scarlet Witch, because if you remember, going back through Hickman, I'll eventually go through Pox and Hawks. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's Powers of 10 and House of X. You come to find out that everyone hates Wanda for what happened during M-Day in the events of House of M, which I promise we will eventually finish. I've just been dragging my feet. Sorry about that. When Wanda says no more mutants, everyone lost their powers. So in this new generation, that still happened. And I thought she was dead at this point. But apparently she was alive, but she died, I guess. And it looked like it was magnetic powers. So everyone's charging Magneto, which I don't know why Lorna gets a free pass. But anyway, we see Eric here in issue 2 going, sigh. Enjoying the view. Charles, I know you're there. You forget I have decades of experience when it comes to recognizing the great presence of your telepathic reading. What game are you even playing at, Charles? Am I being surveyed alone in my own home in the hopes that I might just happen to confess to murder while talking aloud to myself? What is the meaning of this? We come to find out that he's working with Hope. Hope, it's quite all right. I should have warned you that Magneto's formidable at evading psychic inquiry without his helmet. Will I have to resist being tortured too? This isn't, yes, it is. Hope. We're presenting his mind with different scenarios intended to make him feel at ease. Going out of our way to ensure his comfort is tactile manipulation to extract a confession. Yes, you can kind of see the social commentary here, but at least it serves the story. Now, the Avengers, this is their first time on Krakoan soil. And I'm really surprised. Like, you still see people looking reluctant for outsiders, which really pisses me off because, again, this goes back to this just completely shits all over Xavier's dream of humans and mutants coinciding. You just see how everyone has that very much segregationist look about them. I hate it. But we're going to leave that alone because at least here, there's no words. We see the X-Men approach the Avengers, and Jean hugs Vision and she goes, we're sorry for your loss, Vision. Scott says, seeing as this is your first visit to Krakoa, we hoped you could give you a tour of the island and show you around before you retrieve Wanda's remains. Would that be okay? Yes, that would be nice. I like this from the fact, if we go back, I reviewed, like I have the whole series, but the first, I think it was the first 2 issues I went over. I don't have to go back through my catalog, but Zdarsky's Fantastic Four X-Men, when Krakoa was still going hot and strong, I hated the way they made the X-Men essentially trying to rip Franklin away from his parents because he was a mutant. That was horseshit. And the way that Scott was just so cold towards Reed. Now, granted, Reed's not innocent in that series either, but there was no respect. It was just like all these years of what the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, and the X-Men had was just kind of thrown out the window just for the sake of Krakoa. So at least here, we're not seeing that. We actually see a moment of heroes that have fought and bled and died together. However, with that said, this is Leah Williams writing. Leah, however you want to pronounce her name. Lucas Wernick doing the art. Edgar Delgado doing the colors, which I love his work. VC's Clayton Cowles doing the lettering. Tom Mueller doing the designs. There's everyone else working on the book. X-Men created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Now, as they're going through the tour, I love how all of a sudden it says, what is it? They're asking about how, hold on. As you can see, I don't care too much. I think it's Lorna She goes, shit, is it too late for a detour? And Hope isn't in the hatchery right now to telepathically mask that place. Jean, you're going to have to erase their memories to protect the secrets of resurrection. And as they come up on it, we see a voice. I think this is Sync, who this is supposed to be. He goes, up here we have, hello, boys. And Emma's not looking too bad. And I love how Cap's being respectful. Afternoon, ma'am. Ugh, that's so toxic, Emma. Knock that shit off. And Tony goes, go easy on him, Frost. Ma'am is the feminine honorific of the century from where Cap hails from. And might I just add, from one modern business mogul to another, your tangible assets are looking very valuable at the moment. Exceptionally well developed. The dialogue's cringe as shit. Not gonna lie. But the fact that Emma kind of comes in, and I just love how we go from seeing this beach resort to, don't worry, Polaris. They can't see or hear a thing of Arbor Magna behind us. They're thinking we're just here sunbathing. So I understand state secrets and all that. It just, again, it just kills a whole lot about what this book, about what the X-Men were. I mean, going through the Extinction Agenda, Fatal Attractions, Extinction Agenda. This is not the X-Men. Now, I do love this page. This is gorgeous artwork. Don't get me wrong. The artwork is really nice. I will give it that. But I love this particular moment because Leah Williams, when she writes, she writes. When she's not doing the cutesy like Gwenpool stuff. Magic is lawless. I coalesce into being from the yearning clutches of eternity, drawing forth new form out of void, stardust in darkness. And then I run before the cloaked figure reappears and kills me once more. It isn't a normal death. I burst apart into fragments of fire, of life, like vestigial confetti scattered across the astral plane. And then nothing. Darkness. Darkness and then rebirth. Darkness, and then I wake up. And that's just a very gorgeous photo of Wanda. Hope realizes, I'm glad that Hope's kind of the voice of reason here because Xavier is very much not my favorite person. And the same thing here with Pietro. I love that Cap comes up. It's not the murder, Pietro. It's the grief bringing us together. It's the staggering loss of such an incredible, unforgettable woman that eclipses trivial little things like political differences. Thank you for saying that. And I'm sorry. And he takes off in a flash. And I love how Quicksilver, North Star tries to console him, which is interesting because the two assholes here trying to console each other. It's a very interesting scene. And Pedro says, don't. But before we can have any type of moment to breathe, Magneto comes out in full force. So you chose to build the boneyard with an entirely magnetized structure. What an indulgent design. Is this what you were doing instead of finally finishing your geophysics degree? Well, since you mentioned it in these fighting, Lorna, I designed a sentient defensive structure for my doctoral thesis. Welcome. And the fight is just brutal. And you kind of find out where, like people always say, if Magneto got in a fight with the Avengers, you find out how Tony and everyone kind of gets around that. And again, this is what kind of irks me. So Magneto essentially captures North Star's husband. He goes, fine, they'll leave. Now let go of my husband. Get out. Let's stay calm, North Star. That's not, I would kill you all in an instant if that's what it required to save Kyle. Shall we find out? Let him go, Magneto. Kyle is innocent. He's not involved with this. And Magneto says, he's human. He's Krakoan. Again, humans and mutants living in harmony. Xavier's dream, not on display. But it's still a very dramatic, interesting read, especially when we see the dearly departed seemingly coming back to life. Well, what are you waiting for? I murdered the Scarlet Witch. I confess. I'm afraid I have to disagree on several points, actually. And it's interesting. After I read the description of what this event was supposed to be about, it's interesting what they do with Wanda here. And kind of how she becomes a hero instead of being the hatred. What's the word I'm looking for? Where someone is completely exiled and hated. I can't think of the word off the top of my head. But she goes from being that to a hero. And I'll leave it at that. If you guys have enjoyed what you see, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or where it is to get your action figures and comics. If you've enjoyed this review / kind of rant, I really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little X bell next subscribe, that was I continue more content. You guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love talking with you on hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments or the socials, which I'll make sure the links down in the description. So with all that said, hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting.